A tragic and an alarming incident in the district raising some serious safety concerns this morning when it comes to dogs, because two dogs died after their owners believe they were electrocuted on a Northwest D.C. sidewalk. Question is, what happened? Well, that's why we have Maureen Ume. She's out trying to get the details for us. What's going on, Mo?
Hey, good morning. So we're still trying to figure out exactly what happened. Pepco is investigating. They have not really said what they think the cause is. Let me step aside. You can see what we're talking about. This is 19th Street and M Street. Where you see those cones is where we believe the dogs were electrocuted. Again, Pepco not saying exactly what caused this. They're investigating, but they did give us a statement. And in that statement, they say in part, the safety of our customers, communities, and employees is always our top priority. We are working closely with local authorities and are continuing to investigate this matter. Here's what we know about what happened. This was around 4 p.m. on Monday. A man and his dog were walking here on 19th Street on the 1100 block when suddenly the dog started acting erratically. A man who was a total stranger who heard the dog's cries ran down from the 5th floor of his office building to help, only to feel the electric shocks himself. Take a look.
All of a sudden his dog started yelping and howling and jumping and writhing. And I could hear it from my office, so I was looking out the window, and I assumed that the animal had salt on his paws. So I came down with a thing of water, and I was going to help clean the paws. But at that point, the dog wasn't moving. And I bent down and felt something sharp in my hand. And it happened again when I was trying to feel for the pulse of the dog. And then when it happened a third time, all of a sudden it dawned on me, oh my God, there's current in the ground.
But Dr. Stern says the dog was a yellow lab mix named Chili who died after being rushed to the hospital. D.C. police say hours later, around 7:30, Monday night again, another dog owner called saying that their dog was electrocuted in the very same place. Now, sadly, that boxer died on the scene. Fox 5 did talk to a source that says that the underground might have been electrified because of a cable. Again, we don't know if that's exactly what happened. Pepco continues to investigate. Keep in mind, this is not the first time we've heard of something like this happening. A couple years ago on Connecticut Avenue, there was a similar incident where a dog was killed, electrocuted from an underground current of some type. And then in MGM a couple years back, a young girl was electrocuted as well, or shocked after touching a railing. So again, these incidents are not uncommon, but certainly very frightening. Is it widespread? Do you have to be concerned about walking on the sidewalk? These are some of the answers that we're hoping Pepco can answer for us. We have put a call in again to their spokesperson to see exactly what they have to say as far as an update. We have not heard back yet. Just that statement that I referred to at the top of this report. But we'll stay on top of it, bring you the latest details as they become available. Back to you.
Right, we know you'll keep us in the loop. Thank you, Maureen.
A French's Forest pilot is one of 3 people killed in a seaplane crash off Rottnest Island near Perth. 4 people were pulled from the water alive thanks to nearby boaties who rushed to the scene.
Barely a few metres above the water, the Cessna seaplane appears to stall before crashing. On board, 6 passengers and a pilot. They'd taken off from Thompson Bay at holiday hotspot Rottnest Island near Perth about 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
Pulled up pretty suddenly and then, yeah, it looked very wobbly. Wing, couple gusts and the wings were tilting, and then, yeah, one big gust, the wing touched the water and big spray, and saw the plane in pieces after that, with the tail sticking up.
Nearby boaties, water police and rangers rushing to help.
Yeah, pretty grim from where we were sort of looking out, and yeah, obviously knew it wasn't good, as soon as we saw it.
4 survivors were pulled from the water, 3 of them seriously injured and airlifted to hospitals on the mainland. But 34-year-old WA-based pilot James Wong couldn't be saved. 2 passengers, a 65-year-old Swiss woman and 60-year-old Danish man, also killed. Their bodies recovered by police divers last night.
Our hearts absolutely are breaking at this point for the families and everybody involved, witnesses and our crews.
For something so tragic to happen in front of so many people at a place that provides so much joy, especially at this time of the year, is deeply upsetting.
Today, WA's Police Commissioner full of praise for those who helped.
Members of the public who were already present immediately jumped into action and saved lives. And I do want to personally, on behalf of WA Police and all emergency services, thank those who were present.
Pieces of the aircraft have already been brought ashore for examination. With a large portion of the wreckage remaining in the water, forensic police and detectives headed back out to the scene, trying to piece together how this tragedy unfolded. Investigators keen to speak to witnesses and the survivors as they review mobile phone video of the crash. On Rottnest Island, Jamie Freestone, 9 News.
A day ago, they declared a critical incident here at Basingstoke Hospital. The response? A rapid repurposing of rooms to free up beds. This physio ward now a waiting area for patients ready for discharge.
We run generally as about 400 beds on each site. They are all full. I've obviously got people coming in and out of them every day. We've had to turn most of our surgical capacity now over to medical capacity to be able to support those patients, and we have opened extra areas.
Susan Hilliard is grateful she's going home after a stressful stay.
It was quite upsetting because there were just so many people who were ill. It did cross my mind, were people there because of COVID or flu? And I did wonder if it was flu, should they just be at home and recover at home?
Basingstoke is one of a dozen hospitals declaring a critical incident this week, all under pressure and overwhelmed with demand outstripping capacity, including the Royal Liverpool, where rising flu cases are to blame.
The nurse just came out and announced the situation today was that there were approximately 220 people waiting for different treatments, but that, it's not all going to one consultant or whatever, and that they've got a lot of staff off sick, so just bear with us.
This winter crisis was predictable, reflecting a wider problem. Hospitals are struggling with services permanently under strain.
When you've got a fragile system, anything that adds to the load could tip it over the edge. And so that's why it's been so challenging. It's worth remembering that flu levels are 246% higher than they were last year and at the same level as the year before.
Basingstoke hopes the critical incident will be lifted by the weekend. But others warn the worst is still to come, with winter viruses yet to peak. Laura Bundock, Sky News.
As you mentioned, happening now, at least 2 have died and more than 70,000 people have been forced to evacuate as wind-fueled wildfires in Southern California continue to rage.
The fire, which is now considered the most destructive wildfire in Los Angeles history, is 0% contained. Earlier today, officials said that at least 2 people were killed and more than 1,000 structures have been burned in the flames. The largest of fires is the Palisades fire, which has grown to about 12,000 acres in the adjacent Pacific Palisades neighborhood.
A spokesperson for Vice President Kamala Harris says her Los Angeles home was under evacuation orders, but no one was actually home when the fire broke out.
Tucson Fire is currently on the way to LA to assist fire responders battling those wildfires.
KGUN 9's Raina Preciado is joining us live. She's been following this story throughout the day, and she has the latest. Raina?
Yeah, like you guys said, I'm out here in front of the studio to show you just how windy it's been, with high speeds for those wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour throughout southern Arizona. But imagine what those firefighters are up against, with part of Los Angeles County seeing up to 100 miles per hour in wind gusts in the past 24 hours. In Santa Monica, they're seeing up to 30 miles per hour as of this afternoon. Now, not only did I speak with Tucson Fire, but I also talked to people from Tucson who are now living in Los Angeles County, who are just shocked by what's happened since the start of these fires yesterday.
A tree did break right in front of our apartment building right before we left.
Angel Guzman describes evacuating his Santa Monica home Tuesday evening.
And so it was the right thing to do. When we were loading up our car, about 80% of our neighbors were as well, going to various hotels.
His home only 5 blocks from the mandatory evacuation zone.
It was pretty apocalyptic, I would say, for a lack of a better word.
Guzman, born and raised in Tucson, is one of the 70,000 people evacuated from their homes as of Wednesday afternoon, as 3 separate wildfires rage throughout the area.
We could see the fires coming up over the hill.
Mari Lozano, also from Tucson, evacuated her place of work yesterday. She's home, a safe area for now, and says she's had an outpouring of support from friends and family in Tucson.
I know that my parents had no sleep last night. I had my evacuation notices on high. So every time I would wake up for evacuation notice, I would text them to let them know I'm still not in the zone, I'm good.
Lozano says she's worried that may change. As Tucson firefighters prepare to join in fighting the flames, Wildland Coordinator KP Maxwell says the wind is his biggest concern.
Typically, once the wind blows, aircraft can't fly, which is a huge asset.
He says he doesn't know what their assignment is going into this, but when asked if he's scared, he said,
No. It is a risky job, but it's different than, we're going to do everything that we can to save human life.
Yeah, huge thank you to those firefighters who are heading out there now. They say once they get there, they expect their priority to be saving as many structures as possible. We'll have more coming up, but for now, reporting from the east side, Reina Preciado, KGUN9.
Australian households are battling ever-increasing grocery bills, spending an average $1,000 more a year. Here's Eddie Meyer with the latest research.
It probably won't come as a surprise that it's costing more to do your weekly shop. Research from comparison site Compare the Market sets out just how much more. Across the country in January last year, Aussies were spending an average $191.66 on groceries each week. This January, more than $213 a week. That's almost $22 extra, an 11.5% increase. In a year, that adds up to $1,142.96.
The message is to shop around, look for better prices. When you buy a brand name, often what you're paying for is the brand name and a bit of pretty packaging. Could a lesser known brand taste just as good? If you look at the fine print, it'll tell you the unit price, and that will help you analyse whether you're actually getting good value out of an item.
Queenslanders had the biggest jump, 22.3%. That's added almost $2,000 to yearly bills. They were followed closely by Western Australia and South Australia. Victoria and New South Wales have seen the smallest increases, grocery bills increasing by around 9%. According to Compare the Market, more than a quarter of all Australians now say the cost of groceries will be their most worrisome bill in 2025.
On to Japan now. It has a rather serious problem: declining birth rates. And now a Japanese expert has warned that if the birth rate continues to fall, the country will be left with only one child under the age of 14 by the 5th of January 2720. A Japanese expert on demographic trends and aging society thinks that this is a wake-up call, quite literally, for Japan's population concerns. Hiroshi Yoshida, a professor at Tohoku University's Research Center for Aged Economy and Society, has been maintaining a conceptual clock. What does that do? It basically highlights Japan's rapidly declining fertility rate by displaying real-time data on the number of children in the country. How exactly does it map that? Well, the clock shows the number of children in the current year and the previous year, and tracks the decrease every second. What's more, adding to its unique operations, the clock draws official population data from the Japanese Statistics Bureau and calculates a decreasing rate by comparing the number of children in consecutive years. And based on this steady decline, the clock then estimates the year when the number of children will drop to just one. According to the latest calculation, this would happen around the year 2720. That seems a long way from now, but it is concerning nonetheless. And the clock is literally ticking. According to the Japan Times, as a practice, Yoshida has been releasing estimates every year since April 2012. And what's more, the forecast is derived from the annual rate of decline in the population of children, and the latest data reflects a 2.3% decrease. In 2023, Japan's birth rate dropped to a record low of 1.20, with Tokyo's rate falling below 1. But what led to the decline? As per reports, this decline has been linked to fewer marriages and a growing number of people remaining single. Meanwhile, based on government data, the number of births in Japan during the first half of 2024 fell to its lowest level since 1969. Between January and June last year, Japan recorded 350,074 births, a 5.7% drop from the same period in 2023, as per the Health Ministry's preliminary report. Clearly, Japanese policymakers seem to be going out of their way to implement measures in order to tackle the declining birth rate, including expanding childcare facilities, offering housing subsidies, even launching a government-run dating app to encourage marriage and childbearing. Can they succeed, though? Only time will tell.
So we're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate.
Digo, obviamente, el Golfo de México es reconocido el nombre por Naciones Unidas, un organismo de Naciones Unidas, pero el siguiente, ¿por qué no le llamamos América Mexicana? Se oye bonito, ¿no? ¿Verdad que sí? Obviamente, el Golfo de México es reconocido el nombre por Naciones Unidas, un organismo de Naciones Unidas, pero el siguiente, ¿por qué no le llamamos América Mexicana? Se oye bonito, ¿no? ¿Verdad que sí? Se oye bonito, ¿no? Y Golfo de México, pues, desde 1607 y además está reconocido internacionalmente. Hay que esperar también a que llegue a la presidencia y de todas maneras hay derecho internacional y yo sigo pensando que va a haber buenas relaciones con el presidente Trump. ¿En qué me baso? Pues en que hubo buenas relaciones con el presidente López Obrador.
But no, something's going to have to be done. Same thing with Mexico. We have a massive deficit with Mexico, and we help Mexico a lot. They're essentially run by the cartels, and can't let that happen. Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing a future date pretty soon. We're going to change because we do most of the work there, and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too. And the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody, but you know, they have to, it takes two to tango. We're approaching the dawn of America's golden age. It's going to be a golden age for America. We have things that nobody else has. We have more natural resources. We have, number one, nobody knew that until I came along. I made us number one. We're number 3.
Feliz que es día hoy, miércoles.
Donald Trump hizo pues declaraciones acerca de cambiar.
Digo, obviamente, el Golfo de México es reconocido el nombre por Naciones Unidas, un organismo de Naciones Unidas, pero el siguiente, ¿por qué no le llamamos América Mexicana? Se oye bonito, ¿no? Vamos a llamarle América Mexicana. Hay que esperar también a que llegue a la presidencia y de todas maneras hay derecho internacional y yo sigo pensando que va a haber buenas relaciones con el presidente Trump. ¿En qué me baso? Pues en que hubo buenas relaciones con el presidente López Obrador.
amping up its defense game. In case of a possible Chinese invasion, the army attack helicopters, paratroopers, soldiers and tanks took part in the exercise. The troops, in fact, stormed the building, which was occupied by the enemy forces as part of these military drills. Take a look at this report.
With the equipment we currently operate, the communication officer is on the ground to coordinate airborne attacks. So he is in charge of guiding the helicopters so that the ground fires and airborne fires are synchronized.
Don't miss out. Log on to oneindia.com for more updates.